Good evening, Gurvashi ma'am. How are you?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good, dear. I hope I'm audible and the screen's visible to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Okay,
evening,
great.
ma'am.
Good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, ma'am.
Great. So today we'll be doing listening. Plus, we'll be dealing with the writing task and speaking as well, right? So,
Okay, ma'am.
I'm just waiting for everyone to be in here. It's 4 minutes early right now. So, we'll wait for another 5-6 minutes for them because at times they happen to come a little late. Ma'am, you are appearing for the IELTS for the first time.
Yes, ma'am.
ओके सर आप भी फर्स्ट टाइम ही अपेयर हो रहे हैं आइल्स के लिए
Yes, ma'am.
ओके
Earlier, actually,
माय बेसिक कंसर्न वाज दैट आई शुड नो like I have to begin from scratch or do you know some basics already?
no, ma'am. We don't know any basics. We
No
have to
worries,
start
ma'am. We'll
from
deal with it.
scratch.
We'll do it together. No issues.
Actually, ma'am, earlier we were traveling with the company, company all policies. Right now, we are planning to travel ourselves.
Okay. Okay. Fine, dear. No issues. What we can do is while we are waiting for everyone to be in here, we can attempt our speaking so that that time is saved, right? And I may help you around also in the speaking. Yesterday, you guys really spoke well. Content wise, it was fulfilling. थोड़ा सा अगर अगर हम और रिफाइन करते तो हो जाता ज़्यादा अच्छा. To begin with, as in for today, this is the speaking. Describe a person you would like to study or work with. अभी कल तो वेब डायग्राम या कुछ भी रिटर्न नहीं किया था आपने शायद, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm,
Speaking करने से
Yes, ma'am.
पहले.
We have not done. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. We have written traffic problems and an email.
No, you had not done, you had not written any hints for speaking, before speaking, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
We
I'm
hadn't.
giving you 60 seconds directly, and I'll expect you to speak for at least 2 minutes till I stop you on this topic after that. So
Okay.
time begins now. All right, so shall we begin?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you'll begin up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, dear. Let's begin.
Okay. So today I would like to talk about my previous manager, Prasanna. Uh, if in future I get any kind of opportunity, I would surely love to work with him. I got a chance to work with him in Brussels. Uh, this was first time we met, and during my first day in Brussels, he helped me out with the setting arrangements and the local market, how to go with, and all the local contract and related information from where I can go and buy the stuff, all the little helps, whatever you need in a different country. He provided me all those little helps. Along with that, talking about his personality, he is kind of go-to man. He was kind of go-to man for me, and he did every time where my morale was down, he encouraged me how to take decisions and in which moment what kind of strategy to be followed. All those things he taught me during my tenure, though it was short tenure, but I learned a lot of things with him. And he showed me uh, the leadership qualities as well, when and how to deal with certain situations, and how to deal with clients, and whenever your team is not with you, how to handle such kind of situations. He taught me all those things, and where I am today, I think just because of him and the kind of boost he has given to me during my earlier career stint, that I would always love to work with him in future as well. Though he has been into different field now, and I am into different field now. So, but anyways, in future, if our paths crossed and we got a chance to work, I would really love to work with him.
Thank you so much, Raj sir. It was good. I must say, no grammatic error, as in I could, the content you have shared with me, I couldn't find any grammatic error in that. Choice of words, vocab was perfect, no issues in that. And you spoke pretty well for around 2 minutes, 12 seconds. And if I have to grade you, I'll give you 7 for this. It was a good one.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, how could I improve into this?
Dear, the first thing first, when you talk about describe a person you would like to study or work with. अभी इसके अंदर क्या है that we can always begin up with either our personal experience as how a person can be a good influence or a bad influence depending on which person is there with us and who's working with us. How a personality puts an impression on somebody's work. If you are with a good
Okay,
person, how it can enhance, and if you are not with a good person, how it can deteriorate. And then you
okay,
will talk about, and then you must talk about that. Now I'm going to talk about a person who really helped me to shine from the moment I met him or her.
got it.
And then you can continue the way you have continued. It was beautiful. क्या होगा उससे कि आपको ना एक बॉडी मिल जाएगी आपके कंटेंट के लिए, इसके अलावा भी आपका कोई भी क्यू कार्ड होगा। जैसे अगर आप अपनी किसी फेवरेट हॉबी के बारे में बोल रहे हैं, या फिर आप अपने जॉब एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में बोल रहे हैं, या फिर आप अपनी फेवरेट गेम के बारे में बोल रहे हैं, कुछ भी इस तरह का, तो बिगिन अप विद द थीम दैट दे हैव गिवन यू। जर्नलाइज इट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल। जैसे हम राइटिंग टास्क में कल मैं बता रही थी आपको कि आपको इंट्रोडक्शन में यू हैव टू ईदर गिव अ बैकग्राउंड स्टेटमेंट और जर्नलाइज द स्टेटमेंट, राइट? तो यहाँ
Okay,
पे भी ट्राई टू जर्नलाइज द स्टेटमेंट और ट्राई टू गिव अ बैकग्राउंड इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ whatever they have asked you, and that will
actually,
really
this is
help.
what I tried, because like how I start, how I met that, who is that person when I named that that was
Yeah,
my
yeah, no,
manager.
exactly. What you did now,
Okay,
what you did, you picked up all the bullet points one by one, you picked up all and you spoke about that, and it's perfect, no issues on that,
okay,
right?
thank you.
But what I'm saying is that This will come later. First of all, speak in journal about the topic. That
Got it.
how friendship with somebody can either help or can be a disaster. And then you can continue that how your friend helped you to churn out your real self from you.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. अदरवाइज अगर आपने जो मैंने बताया आपको अगर आप वो नहीं भी बोले हैं तो भी आपने जो बोला है वो भी अपने आप में pretty perfect. Okay, Urvashi ma'am, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. I'll try my best today.
All right, dear, let's begin. Yes, dear.
Uh, I want to tell you about my very near and dear friend. Her name is Sarita. I met her in Abu Dhabi, and we both were members of Abu Dhabi Indian Associations, and I met lot of my friends over there. But she was the one who taught me how what is the talent was. She has lot of talent. She was a lady who has each and everything that and a perfect lady has. She knows Hina Khan also. Hina Khan was an organizer over there, and Hina Khan has made us very much of famous over there. So Sarita was the one. She was a lady, and I know her about about 1 year. Uh, sh- uh, she was a mother of two children, and we both were very nice and very good friends. We bought everything. We bought every Indian lady as a one hand, and uh, we organize lots of events over there, and I want to learn each and every part of that organization, but I was in vain because I have to come back to India. But now also I want to join her again, and I just keep on contacting him, and I'm in touch with her, and I want to just bring that capabilities, her passion, her personality to myself, that I should do each and everything that I was doing it earlier in Abu Dhabi. Now I want to do here in India also. But over here there are over there we have lot many of connectivities, like we were having Abu Dhabi Indian Association helps, and we have lots of funds. But now in India I can't make my team, and I don't have any funds over here, so I can't be like her. But I want to work with her again, and I want to join her association again. That's my passion only. Thank you.
Okay, Urvashi ma'am, thank you so much. I'm sorry I didn't stop you at all. 2 minutes 46
No.
seconds you spoke. It was good, but शुरू शुरू में ना थोड़ा सा lucid था. शुरू का जो
Yes, ma'am, I
content
know
था,
that.
yeah, शुरू का जो था ना वो ऐसे था as if like you just got confused. I don't know why. You had a very good hold on language yesterday. I could see it. I could feel it that you guys are good. But today I didn't find you guys, that confident while speaking. Maybe you just was fumbling with the words or with the idea. I don't know what, but it wasn't that satisfying in the beginning. But later on, you carried on and you picked up your pace and you went well. I'll give you 6 for this. I could have given you more, but beginning was a little disappointing.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, for the beginning, what we
Yeah.
have to do to make it best? Like you were telling me that you earlier told us that we have to pick the background and general
Yeah,
comments.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, ma'am. So can you just brief us in this only in this topic that what we have to do?
Dear, this is what I shared with you, no? Like in this topic, describe a person you would like to study or work with. You can always begin up in journal that in journal life, normally we meet so many people in our life, and
Okay.
there are certain times when some people really leave um, an imprint on our life, and it really helps us in our life to move ahead, to work for the betterment. One such person whom I'm going to talk about is, and then you can continue with whatever you spoke. अभी क्या किया मैंने? I just picked up 2-3 lines in journal
Yes.
about, you know, that might be philosophical a bit, that might be something related to the topic, right? I just gave a cover up
Mhm.
to this
Right.
topic, and then I began opening up the layers. इससे क्या होता है कि हम एक philosophical से शुरू होके उसको अपने personal पे आके finish करते हैं, right?
Okay. Okay,
जैसे
ma'am.
आपने बोला वो बिल्कुल करेक्ट है, लेकिन अगर आप इस तरह से थोड़ा सा बता देते कि बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं लाइफ में, वी सी सो मेनी पीपल, वी मीट सो मेनी पीपल, वी टेंड टू फॉरगेट
Mhm.
मेनी, वी टेंड टू keep in mind many, and then there are some who really leave imprint on our life, and one such person is like this, and then obviously वो थोड़ा सा अपने आप raised up हो जाता,
Hmm.
right?
Okay, ma'am.
Excuse me, I don't know what has happened, no one's coming up. Will you just give me a moment? I'll drop in a message for everybody. Now, I did drop a message. This is so
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
surprising. Nobody has come. Yeah, it's read by everybody and nobody has joined. Strange. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin up with the writing then. We'll wait for some time so that if in case um, anyone wants to join in to listening, ताकि कुछ गड़बड़ ना हो उसमें. Listening बीच में रुकना थोड़ा सा tedious होता है, थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है. So when I talk of yes, dear, you want to say something?
No, what I'm saying, if you want, we can wait for a couple of
Okay.
minutes.
So Rajsa, Uvashi ma'am, this is the writing task for today. There are
Okay, ma'am.
social, medical, and technical problems associated with the use of mobile phones. Do you agree that the problems outweigh the benefits of mobile phones? तो बेसिकली इन्होंने क्या किया है, एक बड़ा सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन था, एडवांटेजेस डिसएडवांटेजेस ऑफ मोबाइल फोन्स, राइट? तो एडवांटेजेस डिसएडवांटेजेस में डिसएडवांटेजेस उन्होंने इन फोल्डेड वे हमें पहले से ही दे दिए हैं कि देयर आर सोशियो मेडिको एंड टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम्स एसोसिएटेड विद द मोबाइल फोन्स, राइट? तो ये तीनों प्रॉब्लम्स तो हैं ही, एसोसिएट की जाती हैं, इन प्रॉब्लम्स को हम एसोसिएट करते हैं मोबाइल फोन से. तो व्हाट द examiner is asking from you, that do you agree with that, and do you think that the problems outweigh the benefits, problems are greater than the advantages? So if we have to write down the introduction, what exactly and what do you think should be the introduction?
Disadvantages has more weightage than advantages.
The introduction.
Advantages are overweighing disadvantages according to you, right?
Right.
Okay. Given 5 minutes, can you write down some points for this?
Sure.
Good evening, Himanshu sir. I hope I'm audible to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Sorry
Uh,
for joining.
yes, sir.
I'm saying I'm sorry to join the
No,
class,
no,
ma'am.
it's okay. Please, no worries, dear. I know you guys are busy. I know it's not just like obviously you guys have many engagements around. It's just that in case from further onwards also, if ever you are occupied, drop me a message. That's it. But no worries, no worries.
Okay, ma'am.
Sir, we have just begun with the writing task. This is the
Okay.
writing task. There are socio-medical and technical problems associated with the use of mobile phones. Do you agree that the problems outweigh the benefits of mobile phones? So we have to write down whether it should be, it is an opinionating essay wherein they are asking our opinion whether the problems are greater than benefits or benefits are greater than problems of
Okay.
the mobile.
So, I mean, we need to write for the mobile. I mean, with we are having problem with the mobile phone, or it is giving we are getting benefits with the mobile phone.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली
Okay.
यहाँ पे एक हिंट क्या है कि इन अ वेरी साइलेंट मोड उन्होंने 3 प्रॉब्लम्स का जिक्र पहले से ही अपने आप कर दिया है कि सोशल प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं मोबाइल के करके मेडिको प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं और टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम्स भी होती हैं ऐसा कहा जाता है दिस इज व्हाट पीपल एसोसिएट these problems with the use of mobile phones. Now the examiner is asking you, do you think that the problems outweigh the benefits?
Okay, ma'am.
Right? So we have what I'm trying to tell you is कि ये तीनों problems तो हैं ही हम इन तीनों को elaborate करके technically elaborate करके we can always shift ourselves to the next one and we
Okay,
can
ma'am.
see whether advantages are outweighing or disadvantages.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can we start sharing the points?
Ma'am, actually, Himanshu sir has just joined. So I was just thinking, in case if we can wait a bit, you can always share
Yes,
it
ma'am.
with me. Drop your content to me on my number or in the group. No issues.
Sure.
Is this okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, dear. Fine. Fine, Urvashi ma'am. I've seen your points. Those are pretty genuine advantages, disadvantages. Raj sir, you have also shared. No, you haven't shared, na? Urvashi ma'am, Raj sir is also going to share.
Yes, ma'am. He is just sharing.
Okay, okay, no worries. Uh, Raj sir, Pandora of knowledge is not correct.
What should be the correct word for
A
this?
plethora of knowledge is okay. The word you have misused, it's plethora of knowledge. Pandora जो है ना, Pandora's box, if you remember, it's a kind of a mythical. Uh,
Okay.
it's kind of a mythical something like when you open Pandora's box, hell lot of difficulties come out. एक्चुअली एडवांटेजेस इन फेवर की जगह आप अगेंस्ट में ये चीज लिख सकते थे अगर आपने पेंडोरा एज पेंडोरा ही यूज किया है. अगर आप प्लेथोरा ऑफ नॉलेज कहना चाहते हो तो प्लेथोरा ऑफ नॉलेज इज लॉट्स ऑफ थिंग्स, lots of good things that you get to know, but on the other hand it can be taken as a Pandora's box also. मोबाइल को हम पेंडोरास बॉक्स बोल सकते हैं बिकॉज व्हेन यू ओपन अ मोबाइल तो जरूरी नहीं कि सब अच्छी अच्छी चीजें ही दिखें, और किसके हाथ में मोबाइल है ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन है.
Okay.
राइट, सो पेंडोरास बॉक्स नहीं आ सकते यहाँ पे, प्लेथोरा ऑफ नॉलेज ठीक है. अदर साइड पे आप इसे पेंडोरास बॉक्स कह सकते हैं अगेंस्ट में.
Okay.
Perfect, sir. Impacting eyes as well as health, both ways.
Okay.
हेल्थ, ओवरऑल हेल्थ भी सफर कर रही है, सिर्फ आईज ही नहीं, क्योंकि स्क्रीन टाइम जितना बढ़ रहा है ऑब्वियसली वी आर गेटिंग अफेक्टेड बाय दैट. हिमांशु सर, आर यू डन अ बिट?
Yes, ma'am. I just writing the introduction.
कैन यू शेयर?
I mean, I'm just going to complete and just rephrasing.
Himanshu sir, I can't hear you. You're just mumbling.
Ma'am, I'm saying I'm writing that
Okay,
introduction part.
got you. Fine, fine, fine.
I'll just share.
Take your time. Urvashi ma'am, Raj sir, can you write down introduction on this basis?
Okay, ma'am.
In the introduction, we have to write down the background information or journal statement. Then we have to rephrase the question. And lastly, in the thesis statement, we have to announce that in the subsequent paragraphs, what exactly you are intending to write and share.
How to paraphrase these three words? Socio, medical, and technical topics.
Um, Good evening, dear. May I know who's the one who has just joined?
Hi, is that Anuradha ma'am? I'm just Preet. I've just joined the class to as a demo class.
Okay, just breathe. Okay, fine. Actually, class begins at 9, so I was just wondering. Fine, no issues. We have just begun a bit moment back with the writing task 2. Today in the schedule we'll be having listening. We are already through with the speaking, and this is the writing task 2 that we are proceeding with. May I please know whether you are joining it you are going to appear in for IELTS for the first time, or you have already appeared once?
No, it's going to be my first time, and I'm going to be here just like a silent observer, just here to see how it goes.
Okay, no worries, dear. No issues. Um, so you won't participate?
Uh, I don't mind participating, but if it is not necessary, then I'm good as a silent observer.
No worries, dear. Okay. The task's been given to everybody, so they are doing their task. Once they'll be done, then we'll be discussing about it.
Okay, okay.
Himanshu sir, are you done a bit?
Just writing the opinion in the introduction
Okay,
part.
okay. Urvashi ma'am, Raj sir, the moment you will be through with the introduction, please let me know about it.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Good evening, Param ma'am.
Very good evening.
Dear, we have just begun with the writing task 2.
Okay, ma'am.
So will that be okay if you just write down the introduction and some points so that we may just share in the basic points relating to that?
Okay, ma'am.
The question is that there are socio-medical and technical problems associated with the use of mobile phones. Do you agree
Okay, ma'am.
that the problems outweigh the benefits?
Okay,
So
ma'am.
it's actually an opinionating essay wherein they're seeking your opinion whether the advantages or disadvantages are greater than the other one.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So in introduction, what exactly, Urvashi ma'am, you're writing?
Ma'am, I'm still writing, but I'm writing about the background first.
Okay. Can you please
Yes.
share a bit, whatever you have written?
Okay, ma'am. I have to speak, ma'am.
Yeah, read it up.
Okay. Nowadays, as technology has enhanced, there are lot many of changes in human life. Mobile phone are the one of the example that
Great.
it has become. Yes, that's it, ma'am.
Fine, no issues.
But ma'am, that
Beginning
has
अच्छा कर
written
रहे हैं
lot.
आप. Yeah,
Okay,
continue
ma'am.
with that. No issues. Raj sir, may I please know what you have written till now?
Okay. Human race has done a lot of inventions over the years for making life better and easier. One such human invention is mobile phone.
Raj
It
sir,
has
you're not audible, dear.
Okay. Let me. Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible now.
Okay. I'll start with from the beginning.
Okay.
Human race has done a lot of inventions over the years for making life better and easier. One of such human invention is mobile phone. With the handshake with internet and advanced technology, mobile phones has reached next level and is not only used for communication purpose only, but has many other means of usage. But as people says, every change brings both sides of the coin, that is positive and negative as well. We are going to discuss about different aspects mobile phone has brought into human race.
Fine, Raj sir. Last line में थोड़ा सा मुझे flip लगा. Apart from that, everything was good. Last line थोड़ी सी मुझे twisted लगी. उसको हम थोड़ा और
Actually,
ease
last
off
time I
कर
have not
सकते हैं.
completed.
Yeah. No worries, आप कर
So
लीजिए complete. Yeah.
okay.
Will you
Ma'am,
guys like to take it as a home task to complete the entire? Because I wanted to give you guys a hint that how to begin up with the introduction, and then I wanted to discuss some points and leave rest for the homework, so as we may
Sure.
carry forward with the listening.
ma'am, I just shared the content with you. I mean, the
I'll see it
information
here.
part.
I'll see. Okay, got it. हिमांशु सर एडवांसेस की जगह एडवांसमेंट्स आ सकता है.
Advancement. Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am. Okay,
Over the last few decades, technology advancements have reached the next level. Technology or technological advancements have reached the next level
okay.
across the globe, and many inventions have been done. जो है ना, ये आपका repetition हो गया. Don't repeat your ideas that quickly.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
वैसे तो करना ही नहीं चाहिए repeat, but अगर आपके पास पॉइंट्स नहीं बन रहे हैं तो आप कोई एक पॉइंट को ट्विस्ट करके लिख सकते हैं, बट इतना क्विक मत करिए.
Okay.
या एंड मेनी इन्वेंशंस हैव बीन डन. इन्वेंशंस है ना, प्लूरल है तो हैज बीन नहीं आएगा. हैव बीन डन. One such invention is mobile phone. People says that with the use of cell phone there might be issues related to, there might be issues related to health, social and technical. इसको हम थोड़ा सा और फ्रेम कर सकते हैं सेंटेंस को.
Ma'am, I am not able to find out such words for social and technical.
Okay.
So that's why I written like the same.
People often believe that
Okay, okay. People
people often believe that the usage of mobile phones people often believe that the usage of mobile phone brings about a lot of disturbances or brings about a lot of problems in life.
Okay, ma'am.
अब आपने लिखा है next level across the globe and many inventions has been done. Many inventions have been done. ठीक है, plural है ना, तो उसके साथ have आएगा. One such invention is mobile phone. People
Often believe that.
okay, people says that with the use of cell phone there might be issue related to health, social and technical. In my opinion, it has both positive and negative effects, and this essay will discuss the same. Perfect है हिमांशु से. ये जो थर्ड लास्ट लाइन है ना, ये मुझे थोड़ा लगा कि हम इसे चेंज कर सकते हैं. That people say that the use of cell phone there might be issue related to health, social and technical.
Ma'am, I
ये
change it to,
incomplete abrupt line लग रही है.
okay, like you said that people often believe that the
Yeah.
usage of cell phone uh, bring about problem related to, I mean, health,
Fine.
social and technical.
Yeah. Otherwise, other than that, everything's good.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, dear. So if you guys are ready to do it as a home task, then I'll begin up with the basics of listening.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Urvashi ma'am, Raj sir,
Yes.
ma'am.
Param ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
so shall I share some basic rules to listening first of all? Very quickly. Raj sir, Urvashi ma'am, shall I do that?
Sure, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. My basic concern was that if you guys are writing, I can wait a bit. If not, then I should switch to listening. I hope the screens are clear to you guys. When we talk of listening, first thing that strikes us is that the audio that we'll be able to hear it. And in the listening, audio which is played once will not be replayed again for any reason. For any reason, right? So whatever you will hear once will not be replayed, will not be at any request, it will not be reshared. So all we have to do is we have to be on our toes and we have to make sure to understand the listening properly so as the answers could be given nicely, right? Now what do we have to do? We have to do first two important things while doing listening. A, read the question thoroughly. Read the instructions, pass thoroughly. Suppose examiner tells you to write down the answer in one word and or a number. तो इसका क्या मतलब है? एक word होना चाहिए प्लस एक नंबर हो सकता है, या फिर एक वर्ड हो सकता है, या एक नंबर हो सकता है, या सिर्फ एक नंबर भी हो सकता है, एक सिर्फ अकेला वर्ड भी हो सकता है, right? So this is all how if we manage to read the instruction thorough and proper, then only we'll be able to hit into these answers. Otherwise, it will be a trouble. So all we have to do is that read the instructions thorough and proper, read your questions properly, listen to the content properly, and attempt entire whatever is there in attempt entire. कोई एक भी क्वेश्चन हम छोड़ के जाना अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते हैं. There are times when you have missed two questions or three questions in between, and then all of a sudden you realize that what you have done, and in the panic you at times tend to you at times may skip 2-3 questions, right? But the moment we try to connect ourselves with the rest of the paragraph, we will understand that okay, even if the question is not I have not written answer for this question, but because हमने सारा पैराग्राफ सुना है और उसके बाकी के आंसर्स अटेम्प्ट किए हैं, तो कुछ अंदाजा हो जाएगा कि इन जो क्वेश्चंस हमारे छूटे हैं उसका क्या एग्जैक्ट आंसर हो सकता है. एग्जैक्ट नहीं तो नियर बाय आंसर, राइट? This is clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll not lose our focus at all. We'll make sure to attempt all the answers. Make sure to attempt all the answers, right? Second thing is polish your vocab, because you will not be in listening specifically. Reading में तो फिर भी कहीं आपको आपका same वाला word दिख जाएगा. Listening में आपको paraphrase करके ही 99% आपके answers आएंगे. Chronological order में आएंगे, ये एक relief है. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मैंने 4 पैराग्राफ्स बोल दिए और अब उसके रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं होगा. जो क्वेश्चन मैं रीड कर रही हूँ या जो क्वेश्चन ऑन हुआ है उसके रिलेटेड ही क्वेश्चन आपको आपके एक्सरसाइज में आएंगे, राइट? नाउ कमिंग टू द नेक्स्ट स्क्रीन, दैट इज make sure that your spellings are correct while you are writing down your answers. Your punctuation errors are not there. Grammatically it is correct, right? Apart from that, make sure that you listen to the word types. कई बार होता है उन्होंने हमसे कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा, अब नाउन पूछा है या कोई एक्शन वर्ड पूछा है, वर्ब पूछा है. अगर हमें इनका पता ही नहीं है कि what are nouns, what are adjectives, what are verbs, so we'll not be able to connect ourselves to the paragraph properly. So make sure that when you connect yourselves properly, you understand what is asked from you in the question and what is it exactly that you are going to respond back to the examiner. There are certain times when they give you certain information and then all of a sudden they flip the information. For example, they'll say that, okay, uh, I'm available on Saturday and we'll go to the dentist together, right? अभी information जो है उसके accordingly Saturday का fix हो गया that they'll go together. In the mid of the next day, in the middle of something, this person, he flips the information and say that, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not available on Saturday. What if I give you appointment of Tuesday? अभी क्या हुआ, हमने जो पहले क्वेश्चन का आंसर लिखा था वो हमने लिखा था जो आंसर उन्होंने पहले बोला था. अभी जो उन्होंने बोला वो उन्होंने बोला Tuesday. So we need to keep a good care of this, that if ever they flip the information, we should be mentally prepared about it. We should not lose our focus at all anywhere in between, right? Apart from that, I have already discussed that make sure that you do not leave even a single question unattempted, because there is no negative marking, no? So if there is no negative marking, at least we can give our hit, we can give our best try to attempt the question. Watch out for words indicators like but, then, finally. अब ये words भी आपको आपके आंसर की तरफ डायरेक्ट करते हैं, right? So it's easy and it's really required to read out all such kind of words, all such kind of information together, right? Coming to IELTS listening tips, one thing that I like to share with you कि listening आपका strong तब हो पाएगा जब आप अगर देखो, we guys are not native speakers, right? तो listening strong कब होगा जब when we'll be adapting ourselves to listen to more to the different kind of slangs, different kind of accents. तो बेटर क्या है, आप बीबीसी न्यूज या कुछ ऐसे पॉडकास्ट जरूर सुने जो नॉर्मली इंडियन लोगों ने नहीं जिसको क्रिएट किया है पॉडकास्ट को, उनको सुनिए जो फॉरेनर्स हैं, ताकि योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग इंक्रीजेस, the level increases while you are attempting it. Okay, is this okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One thing more, make sure that you guys don't write down your answers on your answer script immediately while you are listening to your listening. Make sure you write down your answers on the question script. Now this might sound a little weird to you, but trust me, जब भी हम आंसर स्क्रिप्ट पे ही स्ट्रेट अवे लिखते हैं तो हम बहुत कॉन्शियस होके लिखते हैं कि कुछ गलत नहीं होना चाहिए, कोई स्पेलिंग एरर नहीं, कोई पंक्चुएशन एरर नहीं. लेकिन अगर ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी अगर हम यही सारे आंसर्स क्वेश्चन स्क्रिप्ट पे लिखते हैं तो हमें पता है कि ओके इट्स अ क्वेश्चन स्क्रिप्ट ओनली. आई कैन राइट डाउन द आंसर्स इन द शॉर्ट हैंड, आई कैन राइट डाउन द आंसर्स the way I want to, and then I'll fair it on the answer sheet later. और वो एक easy drop हो जाएगा, वो एक easy way out हो जाएगा आपके आंसर्स प्रॉपर्ली लिखने के लिए. ओके उसमें आप पंक्चुएशन का ध्यान रखेंगे, स्पेलिंग एरर्स का ध्यान रखेंगे कि ना हो. then you will keep a good care of spelling mistakes, right? So if you guys are okay, shall we begin up with the speaking? I'm sorry, listening, not speaking. If you guys are okay with this, shall we begin up with the listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Param ma'am, Himanshu sir, shall we begin up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Kindly confirm me whether the screen is clear to you or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Screen is visible? Okay. I'm going to play, just confirm whether it's audible.
The woman says that the library
Yes, dear. Is this audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All the best.
reopened a month ago. So month has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. The woman says that the library reopened a month ago. So month has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hello?
Hi, Susie. It's Paul here. How are you? Enjoying your new job? You're working at the library, aren't you?
Yes, I started when the library reopened a month ago. It's great.
Actually, Carol and I have been meaning to join for a while.
Oh, you should. It doesn't cost anything, and the new library has all sorts of facilities. It's not just a place where you borrow books. For instance, there's an area with comfortable seats where you can sit and read the magazines they have there. Some people spend the whole morning there.
Wish I had that amount of time to spend.
Yes, you must be pretty busy at present, with the children and everything.
We are, yes. But we're hoping to get away this summer. We're thinking of going to Greece.
Well, we've got a much larger section of the library devoted to travel books now, so you should come and have a look. I can't remember if there's anything specifically on Greece, but I should think so.
Okay. Now, Carol's organising a project for the history class she teaches at school. It's about life in the town 100 years ago. Do you have anything that might be useful?
Yes, actually, we've now got a new section with materials on the history of the town and surrounding region.
Right. I'll tell her. You can't always find that sort of thing on the internet. Now, in the old library, there used to be a separate room with reference books. It was a really nice, quiet room.
Yes, we've put those books in the main part of the library now, but we do have a room called the community room. It can be hired out for meetings, but at other times, people can use it to study.
I might use that. It's hard to find anywhere quiet at home sometimes.
I can't remember how old your son and daughter are. We've introduced a special section of fiction written specially for teenagers, but they might be a bit young for that.
Yes, they would be.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Well, we do have lots of activities for younger children.
Yes?
For example, we have a science club. At the next meeting, they're going to be doing experiments with stuff that everyone has in the kitchen, sugar and flour and so on.
They might be interested, yes.
And we have a competition for children called Reading Challenge. That doesn't begin until after the end of term. They have to read 6 books and they get a certificate if they manage it.
So that gives them something to do while they're on holiday, instead of getting bored.
That's the idea. And there's special activities for adults too. On Friday, we have a local author called Tanya Streep, who's going to be talking about her new novel. It's called Catch the Mouse, and she based the story on a crime that actually took place here years ago.
Right. We're not free on Friday, but I'll look out for the book.
Now, this probably isn't for you, but we do have IT support available for members. We get quite a few older people coming along who are wanting to get up to speed with computer technology. It's on Tuesday mornings. They don't need to make an appointment or anything. They just turn up.
Well, my mother might be interested. I'll let her know.
OK. And there's another service which you wouldn't expect from a library, which is a free medical checkup. The hospital arranges for someone to come along and measure the level of sugar in your blood, and they check cholesterol levels at the same time.
Really?
Yes, but that's only for the over 60s, so you wouldn't qualify.
OK. Well, I'll tell my mother. She might be interested.
What other information? Well, we do have a little shop with things like wall charts and greetings cards, and also stamps, so you can post the cards straight away, which is really useful.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring the children round at the weekend and we'll join. Oh, one more thing. I'll be bringing the car. Is there parking available?
Yes, and it's free in the evening and at weekends.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Susie. See you soon.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear part of a training session for new employees at a large travel company. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 17.
In this session in your training day, we're going to look at some of the more specialized holidays we offer at BC Travel. Now, the travel business is very competitive, and it's important to be aware of how the market's changing and developing. In terms of age groups, the over 65s are an important market, and one that's increasing steadily year on year. The fewest holidays are taken by the 31 to 42-year-olds, and that figure shows no sign of rising. The biggest market at present is still the youngest group, the 16 to 30s, but this group's also seen the biggest drop over the last few years, whereas there's a noticeable growth in the number of holidays taken by the 55 to 64-year-olds. As far as the 43 to 54-year-olds are concerned, bookings there are steady, but I have to say we haven't seen the increase we expected. One trend we're noticing with nearly all age groups is the growing popularity of holidays in which clients do some kind of specialized activity. I'm not talking here about adventure holidays where clients take part in high-risk activities like white water rafting just for the thrill of it. Activity holidays usually involve rather less high-risk sports or things like art and music. They're not necessarily cheaper than ordinary holidays, often the opposite in fact, but they do often take place outside the main tourist centers, which gives an opportunity for clients to find out more about the local people and customs. And many say this is one of the most positive features of these holidays. Of course, they offer the chance to develop a new skill or talent, but clients often say that more than this, it's the chance to create lasting relationships with other like-minded people. That's the main draw. Let me give you some examples of BC travel activity holidays. Our painting holidays take place in 4 different centers in France and Italy, and they're very popular with clients of all abilities from beginners onwards. We've got an excellent team of artists to lead the classes. Some of them have been with us from the start, and 5 additional ones will be joining us this year so that we can offer a greater number of classes in each center. As far as cooking holidays are concerned, I know a lot of agents offer holidays where clients cook recipes related to one particular country, usually the one they're staying in, but we focus on dishes from a great many different ones. Apart from that, you'll find the usual emphasis on good quality organic ingredients. That's more or less a given nowadays, and there are generally some meat-free recipes included. Our photography holidays take place in a wide range of countries from Iceland to Vietnam, and clients have the opportunity to see some stunning scenery. Groups are small, no more than 8, so clients can have one-on-one tuition during the holiday, and excursions are arranged with fully trained guides. At the end of each holiday, an exhibition is held of the photographs taken, so that clients can see one another's work and receive valuable feedback from the tutor.
Before you hear the rest of the training session, you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 18 to 20.
Finally, let me tell you about our fitness holidays. In Ireland and Italy, we run one-week general fitness classes for all ages and levels of fitness. Clients start the course with a consultation with a trainer, and together they draw up an individual program. As well as improving general fitness, clients find that they end up losing much of the stress they've built up in their daily lives. In Greece, we have a 2-week holiday for clients who want to do something about their weight. This has all the features you'd expect, like a personalized diet program, but one of its most popular features is that the exercise classes are all held on the beach. People say it's far preferable to being in a gym. Finally, we offer several holidays in Morocco. One very popular one is the mountain biking holiday. Bikes are provided, and there are different routes according to people's ability. We offer one which is tailored to the needs of families, which is particularly popular. Okay, so that's about all the time I have today, so thank you very much.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear 2 tourism students, called Natalie and Dave, talking about the tourism case study they are doing. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Dave, I'm worried about our case study. I've done a bit of reading, but I'm not sure what's involved in actually writing a case study. I missed the lecture where Dr. Baker talked us through it.
Okay, well, it's quite straightforward. We've got our focus. That's tourism at the Horton Castle site. And you said you'd done some reading about it?
Yes, I found some articles and made notes of the main points.
Did you remember to keep a record of where you got the information from?
Sure, I know what a pain it is when you forget that.
Okay, so we can compare what we've read. Then we have to decide on a particular problem or need at our site. And then think about who we're going to interview to get more information.
Okay, so who'd that be? The people who work there? And presumably some of the tourists too?
Yes, both those groups. So we'll have to go to the site to do that, I suppose. But we might also do some of our interviewing away from the site. We could even contact some people here in the city, like administrators involved in overseeing tourism.
Okay, so we'll need to think about our interview questions and fix times and places for the meetings. It's all going to take a lot of time.
And if we can, we should ask our interviewees if they can bring along some numerical data that we can add to support our findings.
And photographs?
I think we have plenty of those already. But Dr. Baker also said we have to establish with our interviewees whether we can identify them in our case study or whether they want to be anonymous.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. Okay, once we've got all this information, I suppose we have to analyse it.
Yes, put it all together and choose what's relevant to the problem we're focusing on, and analyse that carefully to find out if we can identify any trends or regularities there. That's the main thing at this stage, rather than concentrating on details or lots of facts.
Okay, and then once we've analysed that, what next?
Well, then we need to think about what we do with the data we've selected to make it as clear as possible to our readers. Things like graphs or tables or charts.
Right.
Then, the case study itself is mostly quite standard. We begin by presenting the problem and giving some background, then go through the main sections. But the thing that surprised me is that in a normal report, we'd end with some suggestions to deal with the problem or need we identified. But in a case study, we end up with a question or a series of questions to our readers, and they decide what ought to be done.
Oh, I hadn't realised that.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
So, basically, the problem we're addressing in our case study of the Horton Castle site is why so few tourists are visiting it. And we'll find out more from our interviews, but I did find one report on the internet that suggested that one reason might be because, as far as transport goes, access is difficult.
I read that too, but that report was actually written 10 years ago when the road there was really bad, but that's been improved now. And I think there's plenty of fascinating stuff there for a really good day out, but you'd never realise it from the castle website. Maybe that's the problem.
Yes, it's really dry and boring.
I read somewhere a suggestion that what the castle needs is a visitor centre. So we could have a look for some information about that on the internet. What would we need to know?
Well, who'd use it for a start? It'd be good to know what categories the visitors fell into too, like school parties or retired people. But I think we'd have to talk to staff to get that information.
Okay, and as we're thinking of suggesting a visitor centre, we'd also have to look at potential problems. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be cheap to set up.
No, but it could be a really good investment. And as it's on a historical site, it'd need to get special planning permission, I expect. That might be hard.
Right, especially as the only possible place for it would be at the entrance, and that's right in front of the castle. But it could be a good thing for the town of Horton. At present, it's a bit of a ghost town. Once they've left school and got any skills or qualifications, the young people all get out as fast as they can to get jobs in the city, and the only people left are children and those who've retired.
Right. Something else we could investigate would be the potential damage that tourists might cause to the castle site. I mean, their environmental impact. At present, the tourists can just wander around wherever they want. But if numbers increase, there might have to be some restrictions, like sticking to marked ways. And there'd need to be guides and wardens around to make sure these were enforced.
Yes, we could look at that too. Okay, well, we've certainly managed.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecturer on an environmental studies course discussing how birds are affected by environmental change. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Okay, so we've been looking at how man-made changes in our environment can affect wildlife. Now, I'll discuss a particular example. Let's take a look at mercury. Mercury's one of the 120 or so elements that make up all matter, and it has the symbol Hg. It's a shiny, silvery substance. You may have seen it in old-fashioned thermometers, but it's not used much for domestic purposes now because it's highly toxic. But the problem is that the amount of mercury in the environment's increasing. The main reason for this is the power plants used to produce electricity. The main source of energy that most of them use is still coal, and when it's burned, it releases mercury into the atmosphere. Some of this gets deposited into lakes and rivers, and if it's ingested by a fish, it's not excreted. It stays in the fish's body, and it enters the food chain. So, it's been known for some time that birds which eat fish may be affected. But what wasn't known until quite recently is that those that eat insects can also be affected. So, a woman called Claire Varian-Ramos is doing some research on how this is affecting birds. And rather than looking at how many birds are actually killed by mercury poisoning, she's looking for more subtle sub-effects. And these may be to do with the behaviour of the birds, or with the effect of mercury on the way their brain works. So, whether it leads to problems with memory, for example. And she's particularly focusing on the effects of mercury on bird song. Now, the process of song learning happens at a particular stage in the bird's development. And what you may not know is that a young bird seems to acquire this skill by listening to the songs produced by its father, rather than by any other bird. And Varian-Ramos has already found in her research that if young male birds are exposed to mercury, if they eat food contaminated with mercury, then the songs they produce aren't as complex as those produced by other birds. So, quite low-level exposure to mercury is likely to have an impact on male birds in a natural situation because it can mean that they're less attractive to female birds, and so it can affect their chances of reproduction. Now, the way she's carrying out this research is worth thinking about. She's using a mixture of studies, using birds kept in laboratories and studies carried out outdoors in the wild. The lab-based studies have the advantage that you don't get all the variables you would in a natural setting. So, the experimenter has a much higher level of control, and that means they can be more confident about their results in some ways. And of course, they don't have to worry about going out and finding the birds in order to observe them. So, what are the implications here for humans? Well, because many birds are migratory, they may be transporting mercury far from contaminated sites. For example, it's been found that ducks who'd been feeding at a contaminated site were later shot by hunters over 1,000 kilometers away and presumably eaten. But these birds likely had mercury levels high enough to warrant concern for human consumption. In addition, going back to song learning by birds, we saw that this may be affected by mercury contamination. Well, we also know that in humans, mercury causes developmental delays in the acquisition of language. And in fact, this process is very similar in the brain regions it involves, and even the genes that are involved. But mercury contamination has other important implications for humans as well. It's now known that an unborn child can be affected if the food eaten by its mother contains high levels of mercury, and these effects can be quite substantial. In the end, it comes down to whether more value is placed on human economic well-being or environmental well-being. It's true there are new regulations for mercury emissions from power plants, but these will need billions of dollars to implement and increase costs for everyone. Some argue that's too much to pay to protect wildlife. But as we've seen, the issues go beyond that, and I think it's an issue we need to consider very carefully.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute of the listening test.
Kindly check your answers and then we'll discuss about it. Yes, dear. Have you checked your answers?
Yes, ma'am.
100, ma'am.
Okay. What's your score?
37.
Okay, great. Param ma'am, Urvashi ma'am, sir.
Ma'am, just a second, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, my 20 are correct.
Okay, your answer 20.
Ma'am, mine 17.
Where did you guys go wrong?
Mm,
Ma'am, from 21
yeah,
to
21 onwards.
21 to 20.
21 onwards. Okay, MCQs, most of the MCQs are wrong. Shall we check once?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Just give me a moment. All right. Kindly tell me any query in first four answers. I'll ask you guys one by one. Please tell me any queries in first four answers. From answer 5th to 10th, any query? It will be a great help if you guys will speak up a bit.
No, ma'am.
Okay. From 11th to 14th, any query?
No, ma'am.
Great. 15th to 17th?
No, ma'am.
Thank you so much. 18th to 20th? So everything's good
No,
till
ma'am.
here?
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yes.
Moving from 21st onwards. Tell me 21st onwards, what are the queries? सबसे पहले तो हमने क्वेश्चन का जो हेडिंग है वो देखा, हमने आंसर्स नहीं लिखने थे, यहाँ पे हमने सिर्फ अल्फाबेट्स लिखने थे इनके. अगर आपने आंसर्स लिखे हैं तो वो इनकरेक्ट है. You had to write down just alphabets, right? So let's see 21st onwards कौन से incorrect है, कौन से देखने हैं, then I'll play the content.
Ma'am, mine all are wrong.
Oh. Okay, no worries, we'll check, don't worry. तो फिर मैं प्ले करती हूँ, जब सारे ही देखने हैं तो हम सारे ही एक बार ही देख लेते हैं.
Worried about our case study. I've done a bit of reading, but I'm not sure what's involved in actually writing a case study. I missed the lecture where Dr. Baker talked us through it.
Okay, well, it's quite straightforward. We've got our focus. That's tourism at the Horton Castle site. And you said you'd done some reading about it?
Yes, I found some articles and made notes of the main points.
This is the first 21st जिसके लिए अभी उन्होंने they have just begun giving the information.
Did you remember to keep a record of where you got the information from?
Sure, I know what a pain it is when you forget that.
Okay, so we can compare what we've read. Then we have to decide on a particular problem or need at our site. And then think about who we're going to interview to get more information.
Okay, So who'd that be? The people who work there? And presumably some of the tourists too?
Yes, both those groups. So we'll have to go to the site to do that, I suppose. But we might also do some of our interviewing away from the site. We could even contact some people here in the city, like administrators involved in overseeing tourism.
Okay, so
All right. 21st and 22nd have already been answered. Could you find your answer? Straight away
21 I
answers.
could not. 21 I could not find, but
You couldn't find.
22nd, yeah, 22nd I could find.
Yes, I also 22nd.
Let's see.
22nd
21st.
was
Yes, sir.
employees.
22nd is employees. Yeah, you're right. For 21st, paraphrasing है, dear, इसमें correct answer straight away नहीं है. They have paraphrased it. Just check what they're saying.
Tourism at the Horton Castle site. And you said you'd done some reading about it?
yes, I found some articles and made notes of the main points.
Did you remember to keep a record of where you got the information from?
Did you keep a record of from where you have got the information from? What do you think could be
So
the
does that
one? Yes, sir.
source?
You're right. It's sources, right?
Okay.
Ma'am, could you understand this? Urvashi ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't worry, it's the first listening you guys are doing. So obviously, थोड़ा सा time लगता है adapt करने में. Moreover, इसमें आप शायद straight away answers ढूंढ रहे थे. Straight away answers आपको मिलने नहीं थे. इसमें वो paraphrasing थी. So just let's see.
Sure, I know what a pain it is when you forget that.
Okay, so we can compare what we've read. Then we have to decide on a particular problem or need at our site. And then think about who we're going to interview to get more information.
Okay, so who'd that be? The people who work there? And presumably some of the tourists too?
Yes, both those groups. So we'll have to go.
So the people who work there, those will be employees. Tourists क्या बात कर रहे हैं उन्होंने साथ में तो visitors already उन्होंने paraphrase करके लिखा हुआ है, right?
Go to the site to do that, I suppose. But we might also do some of our interviewing away from the site. We could even contact some people here in the city, like administrators involved in
Officials की बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. उन्होंने कहा कि city में जो those who are working,
Working.
right?
Yeah, officials.
यहाँ पे और कोई word नहीं है. Employees हम already pick कर चुके हैं और कोई word नहीं है जो इसके साथ match करेगा other than officials, right? आप एक वहां ये
Yes.
जरूर करेंगे पेंसिल से. आप उन वर्ड्स को हिट करते जाइएगा जब आपके पास प्रिंट आउट होगा वहां पे, तो ना आपके पास पूरा शीट होगा. तो जो आंसर्स हो गए ना आपके, उनको आप टिक करते जाइए, उनको आप एक क्रॉस करते जाइए कि ये हो गया, ताकि आप उसमें कहीं कंफ्यूज ना हो.
Got
जितने
it,
आपके
ma'am.
पास ऑप्शंस कम होते जाएंगे उतने ही आपके आंसर्स आप ज्यादा क्लोजली हिट कर पाएंगे, राइट?
Okay. Yes.
Let's check the first.
seeing tourism.
Okay, so we'll need to think about our interview questions and fix times and places for the meetings. It's all going to take a lot of time.
And if we can, we should ask our interviewees if they can bring along some numerical data that we can add to support our findings.
And photographs?
I think we have plenty of those already. But Dr. Baker also said we have to establish with our interviewees whether we can identify them in our case study or whether they want to be anonymous.
When they are asking whether they can identify the interviewees in the case study, or they want to be anonymous. Anonymous means they do not want to reveal their identity,
Identity.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
And if they allow or if they permit to use their names, तो हम इसके लिए क्या use कर सकते, कौन सा आंसर आ सकता है यहाँ पे 24th में? Check whether names of
With the
interviewees can
names
be
of
used,
the, yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Okay, once we've got all this information, I suppose we have to analyse it.
Yes, put it all together and choose what's relevant to the problem we're focusing on, and analyse that carefully to find out if we can identify any trends or regularities there. That's the main thing at this stage, rather
Here
than...
trend means patterns to be used.
You're right. Trends mean pattern. Urvashi ma'am, Param ma'am, Himanshu sir, things are going good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
on details or lots of facts.
Okay, and then once we've analysed that, what next?
Well, then we need to think about what we do with the data we've selected to make it as clear as possible to our readers. Things like graphs or tables or charts.
Right.
Then the case study itself is mostly quite standard. We begin by presenting the problem and giving some background, then go through the main sections. But the thing that surprised me is that in a normal report, we'd end with some suggestions to deal with the problem or need we identified. But in a case study, we end up with a question or a series of questions to our readers.
What's the answer to 26th? Here he is saying that normally what happens that whatever we analyze, we end up with some kind of solution. But what is different in case studies that we end up at a question mark. We do not end with the. Why do we end up with a question mark? Because it's a case study. और case study में जो भी हमारी findings होती हैं, वो we leave it on the one who is studying that case. That what he analyzes, what he brings out, or what he churns out. तो case study में हम क्या नहीं करते हैं? Do not end with
Solutions.
solutions. Exactly. Right here. Till 26th, everything's good.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I move ahead? All right, 27th to
Yes.
30th, any query? Yes, dear, 27th to 30th, any query?
Oh, ma'am.
No queries? Okay. Please check from 31st to 40th, any query? All are correct? Everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, dear. I'm sorry, I couldn't catch you. Himanshu, sir, what did you say?
All are correct, ma'am.
All are correct. Very good.
Yeah.
Cool. Urvashi ma'am, sir,
No, ma'am.
so all are good, all correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Just
that's
few, my
Yeah.
934 was wrong.
Which one's wrong?
34.
34th. Okay.
34. 34.
34th. No? Okay.
And these may be to do with to have an impact on male birds in a natural situation, because it can mean that they're less attractive to female birds, and so it can affect their chances of reproduction. Now, the way she's carrying out this research is worth thinking about. She's using a mixture of studies, using birds kept in laboratories and studies carried out outdoors in the wild. The lab-based studies have the advantage that you don't get all the variables you would in a natural setting. So the experimenter has a much higher level of control, and that means they can be more confident about their results in some ways. And of course, they don't have to worry about going out and finding the birds in order to observe them. And presumably eaten. But these birds, and when it's burned, it releases mercury into the atmosphere. Some of this gets deposited into lakes and rivers, and if it's ingested by a fish, it's not excreted. It stays in the fish's body, and it enters the food chain. So, it's been known for some time that birds which eat fish may be affected. But what wasn't known until quite recently is that those that eat insects can also be affected. So, a woman called Claire Varian Ramos is doing some research on how this is affecting birds. And rather than looking at how many birds are actually killed by mercury poisoning, she's looking for more subtle sub-effects. And these may be to do with the behaviour of the birds, or with the effect of mercury on the way their brain works. So, whether it leads to problems with memory, for example. And she's particularly focusing on the effects of mercury on bird song. Now, the process of song learning happens at a particular stage in the bird's development. And what you may not know is that a young bird seems to acquire this skill by listening to the songs produced by its father, rather than by any other bird. And Varian Ramos has already found in her research that if young male birds are exposed to mercury, if they eat food contaminated with mercury, then the songs they produce aren't as complex as those produced by other birds.
Could you find your 34th answer, dear? Yes, dear, could you find your answer?
No,
No?
ma'am.
अरे
No.
अच्छा अच्छा, देखते हैं एक बार दोबारा देख लेते हैं. इजी है. देखो आपका जो ब्लैंक था वो था songs learned by birds exposed to mercury are less dash. अब songs learned by birds exposed to mercury are what? Are less?
On the effects of mercury on birds' song. Now, the process of song learning happens at a particular stage in the bird's development. And what you may not know is that a young bird seems to acquire this skill by listening to the songs produced by its father, rather than by any other bird. And Varian Ramos has already found in her research that if young male birds are exposed to mercury, if they eat food contaminated with mercury, then the songs they produce aren't as complex as those produced by other birds. So, quite low-level exposure to mercury is likely to have an impact.
Could you find your answer now? Songs learned by birds exposed to mercury are less complex or complicated.
Complex. So
Yeah.
the answer is complex.
Complex.
By listening to the songs produced by its father, rather than by any other bird. And Varian Ramos has already found in her research that if young male birds are exposed to mercury, if they eat food contaminated with mercury, then the songs they produce aren't as complex as those produced by other birds.
Yes, dear. Now it's
So,
okay.
quite low-level exposure to mercury is likely to have an impact.
After 34th, which one do we need to check?
Ma'am, the answer is complex, right?
Right.
Ma'am, but the answer was wrong.
Why so?
In the answer sheet which he shared, I guess it had some different answers.
Complex.
Answer is
Complicated.
complex
I was
or
looking at
complicated.
Yes, ma'am. Then it was right.
Okay. So which ones now that we need to check?
All other are right, ma'am.
That's good. So we are through with our listening.
Wow.
Okay. I hope you guys can see the screen. We
Yes,
are
ma'am.
almost on the verge of finishing off the session today. It's just Himanshu sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, dear. This is the speaking for the day. Can you just spare 2 minutes? Prepare yourself for a minute and then we'll check
Can
on to
I
this.
share the recording to you later?
Himanshu sir, I couldn't get you. What did you say?
Can I share the recording later to you?
You want to send the recording later?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, dear. No issues. No worries. I've shared the.
Yeah, I've seen in the group.
Okay, dear. Fine, fine. No worries. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Fine. Okay, dear. Take care. Take care, everybody. Then see you tomorrow, same time. If in case you have any query, you guys can ask right now, or you have my number. You can drop down a message or a call any moment. Right? So bye for now. Take care. God bless you all. Stay safe and happy. Bye-bye.
Bye, bye, ma'am.
Good
See
night,
you
ma'am.
tomorrow. Yeah. Bye.
See you.